A huge volcano has been discovered on Mars. At its foot there are the remains of a glacier. Scientists have spotted a giant volcano in a canyon-scarred area near Mars' equator. Interestingly, the characteristic region where the structure was discovered was repeatedly photographed from orbit, but the volcano was deeply eroded, which is why astronomers have not noticed it until now. At its foot there are probably the remains of a glacier, and researchers believe that this is the best place to look for possible traces of ancient life. The discovery was announced at the 55th Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, held recently in the Woodlands, Texas. The massive volcano was spotted south of the red planet's equator, on the border between the area known as Noctis Labyrinthus, Labyrinth of the Night, and the monumental labyrinth of canyons known as Val Marineris, Marinera Valley. At the conference, astronomers also reported a possible layer of ice at the foot of the volcano. Mars geological scientists are excited about new opportunities to study the neighboring planet's evolution over time. This place is also an excellent target for future searches for traces of ancient life, if any existed on the red planet. We were studying the geology of the area where we found glacier remnants last year when we realized we were looking at the interior of a huge and deeply eroded volcano, said Dr. Pascal Lee, a planetary scientist at the SETI Institute and NASA Ames Research Center. But the newly discovered volcano, despite its size, is not the largest volcano on Mars. The red planet is home to the largest volcano in the entire solar system. We're talking about Olympus Mons. It rises more than 21 kilometers above the average surface of the planet. Its diameter at the base is 624 kilometers. The caldera, a depression at the top of the volcano, is 85 kilometers long, 60 kilometers wide and 3 kilometers deep. Scientists believe it was created over 3 billion years ago. The newly discovered volcano was temporarily named Noctis. It rises to a height of over 9 kilometers and at its base has a diameter of 450 kilometers. The volcano's gigantic size and complex structure suggest that it was active for a very long time. In its southeastern part there is a thin, relatively recently formed volcanic sediment, under which there are probably the remains of a glacier. On the slopes of the volcano you can see ancient lava flows, traces of pyroclastic deposits and hydrated minerals. This area of Mars is known to contain a wide range of hydrated minerals. So finding a volcano here might not be too surprising. In some ways, this large volcano has been long sought, admitted Saurav Shivam from the University of Maryland. At the foot of the volcano, scientists also found a vast area of volcanic sediments covering 5,000 square kilometers. This area is covered with a large number of low, rounded mounds, resembling blisters. Astronomers believe these mounds were formed by steam swelling as hot volcanic material settled on ice-rich terrain. The Noctis volcano has been hit hard by time. The effects of thermal and glacial erosion are clearly visible, as cracks and faults began to appear, most likely due to the uplift of the large area in which the volcano is located. Lava began to flow from various parts of the volcano, leading to thermal erosion and evaporation of vast amounts of buried ice, and the collapse of entire sections of the volcano. Subsequent glaciations continued erosion, giving many of the canyons within the structure their current distinctive shape. However, much about the newly discovered volcano remains a mystery. While it is clear that he was active for a long time, it is unknown when exactly. And if it was active for a long time, did the combination of heat and water from the ice allow conditions to exist there that could support life? The volcano has only just been discovered, but it already appears to be an excellent place to study the geological history of Mars and search for traces of possible ancient life. This combination of many factors makes the location of the Noctis volcano extremely exciting. It is an ancient and long-lived volcano that has eroded so deeply that you could hike inside it, or even drive a car, to explore or try to date different parts of it to study the evolution of Mars over time. Mars also has a long history of heat interacting with water and ice, making it an excellent location for astrobiology and the search for signs of life. Given that glacial ice is likely still near the surface in the relatively warm equatorial region on Mars, the site looks very attractive for robotic and human exploration, Lee said. Third flight of the Starship rocket. SpaceX's big success. On March 14, the largest rocket ever built flew into space. Even though it did not land, it completed key tasks, and soon we can expect further big steps in its development, commented Dr. Jakub Boczynski from Cryotech Instruments. Although contact was lost shortly after the Starship entered the atmosphere, and control was lost at the end of the landing of the first stage of the system, the entire flight was a huge achievement, said Dr. Boczynski. I think that what happened is a complete success. This is another step that brings us closer to creating a rocket that will be able to put incredible payloads into orbit. During its tests, so far we have seen mainly explosions, which may seem like a failure to a person unfamiliar with space flights. But, from the point of view of people dealing with space solutions, what SpaceX managed to do is a really big success, says the expert, who is the director of the Space Technology Products Office at Cryotech Instruments, an astronomer, educator and science popularizer. The loss of rocket prototypes is normal in the space industry. The creation of each new product usually requires the creation of 2 or 3 times as many prototypes as the number of final products. For example, we are currently constructing a constellation of 3 microsatellites at Cryotech Instruments, in accordance with accepted space industry standards. In this particular mission we must build and potentially destroy as many as 6 prototypes to be highly certain that 3 satellites will successfully fly into space. We are used to the fact that in the space industry, more prototypes are destroyed than work, emphasized Dr. Boczynski. The Starship reached beyond the conventional boundary of space and performed planned activities there, including, opened the cargo hatch, It was destroyed at one of the most dangerous moments. One of the riskiest stages was entering the atmosphere and attempting to land. This is the first test of this type for Starship. It is the heaviest vehicle ever to return from orbit. So the task was incredibly difficult to accomplish. The flight was controlled for a long time. So it is likely that in one of the next attempts it will be possible to complete deorbitation, the most difficult part of the flight, explained the specialist. Meanwhile, SpaceX plans further intensive tests. SpaceX has a tendency to surprise. On the one hand, the company undertakes difficult, long-term tasks, but on the other hand, it often says that it will achieve something earlier than it succeeds. But with 3 more flights scheduled for later this year, there will be plenty of opportunities to test the rocket and make improvements. Based on the point to which the company has reached this time, it can be assumed that one of the next flights this year will end with a test landing of the first stage of the rocket on the ocean surface. After several simulated landings over the ocean, the company will begin experimenting with landings on dry land. Today, I do not expect that we will be able to start booking flights to orbit before 2028 using Starship. But as they say in the industry, never bet against Elon Musk, said the expert. Starship is supposed to introduce a revolution in the space program, carry gigantic payloads, significantly reduce the cost of putting 1 kilogram into orbit, reach the moon and beyond. However, other missiles will likely still be needed. Starship may turn out to be for space flights what the Airbus A380 is for the aviation industry. It is the largest plane that has ever carried people on scheduled flights. However, from a business point of view, it turned out to be overestimated, too big. The question arises whether Starship will also turn out to be a bit too big. It will make sense to launch a large constellation of satellites, e.g. Starlink, but it may be too bulky for smaller payloads. The main rocket-carrying satellites for the commercial market may remain. For example, Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy, added Dr. Bochinski. NASA experts have decoded the signals sent by the Voyager I probe. NASA experts have been trying since November last year to understand the strange sequence of zeros and ones transmitted by Voyager I. The problem concerns the spacecraft's Flight Data System, FDS, which collects data about the spacecraft and gathers information from scientific instruments. Recently, one of the engineers managed to decrypt the signal. The Voyager I probe launched from Earth in 1977 with a mission to visit the gas giants Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. In the same year, a twin structure, the Voyager II probe, was launched into space. In 1989, as the probes completed their tour of the outer planets, they began their mission to reach the heliopause. The heliopause is the boundary of the heliosphere, a protective bubble of particles and magnetic fields produced by our Sun. At this boundary, the solar wind loses its speed, and the pressure of the galactic winds begins to outweigh the pressure of the solar wind. This boundary is approximately 18 billion kilometers from the Sun. The Voyager I probe crossed the edge of the heliosphere and entered interstellar space in 2012. 6 years later, the Voyager II probe also did this. Both probes are old designs and currently some of their instruments no longer work. The ships have suffered numerous failures, but the most recent one, which happened to Voyager I, proved more difficult to resolve. In December last year, NASA reported disruptions in communication between one of the onboard computers, called the Flight Data System, FDS, and the subsystem used to communicate with Earth, the so-called Telemetry Modulation Unit, TMU. The result is that since November, the mission managers have had no knowledge about the condition of the man-made ship furthest from Earth. The team has no visibility into key parameters regarding drive, power and control systems. The task of the FDS is, among other things, collecting data from scientific instruments and data on the condition and location of the probe. The system combines this information into one data packet that the TMU sends to Earth. The data is in the form of binary code. The problem is that the data reaching Earth is completely unreadable. The repeated sequences of zeros and ones have been described by NASA specialists as digital gibberish. This gibberish has been reaching air traffic control since November 14 last year. The breakthrough came at the beginning of March. The Voyager mission team detected activity in one section of the FDS that was different from the rest of the garbled data stream. In response to a command from Earth, instead of returning digital gibberish, Voyager I sent back a string of numbers that looked more familiar. An anonymous engineer from NASA's Deep Space Network, whose job is to operate the radio antennas that communicate with Voyager I and its interstellar twin Voyager II, as well as other NASA spacecraft, glanced at and read the code returned by the spacecraft. It turned out that it contained the reading of the entire FDS memory. The FDS memory contains instructions for the ship, which may change if its status changes or upon command from Earth. This memory also holds scientific and engineering data to be transmitted back to Earth. Voyager I's recovery team now intends to compare the new signal, which emerged as a result of a response to a command to try different sequences in the software package, with data transmitted to Earth just before the spacecraft began transmitting binary nonsense. Finding discrepancies between the normal Voyager I data and the new signal can help find the source of the problem. Voyager I is currently about 24 billion kilometers from Earth, which means solving communication problems can be a tedious process. It takes 22.5 hours to receive a radio signal from Voyager I, and then another 22.5 hours to receive a response. Genes inherited from Neanderthals responsible for greater sensitivity to pain. New research shows that people who have variants of genes inherited from Neanderthals are more sensitive to certain types of pain. These discoveries show how interbreeding with Neanderthals in the ancient past influenced the genetics of modern humans. It's no secret that modern humans and Neanderthals interbred regularly. These love affairs from the ancient past have genetic consequences for our species. About 2% genes in our DNA come from our extinct cousins. In a new study, scientists from University College London, together with colleagues from Aix-Marseille University, the University of Toulouse, the Open University, Fudan University and Oxford University, determined that 3 gene variants from our ancestors' relationships with Neanderthals may increase sensitivity to certain types of pain. Variants of these genes are most often found in populations descended from indigenous peoples of the Americas. The results and description of the research were published in the journal, Communications Biology. The researchers focused on the analysis of the SCN9A gene, which encodes a protein that transports sodium into cells and helps sensory nerves send signals. They found 3 variants of this gene that make people with them more sensitive to pain caused by being pricked by a sharp object, but not to pain caused by heat or pressure. Previous research has identified 3 variations of the SCN9A gene, known as M932L, V991L and D1908G, in sequenced Neanderthal genomes. Scientists reported at the time that these variants made people wearing them more sensitive to pain. However, at the time it was unclear what specific sensory responses were affected. In the new study, scientists measured the pain threshold in response to various stimuli in 1,963 people from Colombia. They also analyzed their DNA. They found that the D1908G gene variant was present in about 20%. This population, and approximately 30% people wearing this variant also acquired the M932L and V991L variants. The researchers found that these 3 variants were associated with a lower pain threshold in response to skin pricking, but not in response to heat or pressure. Additionally, wearing all 3 variants was associated with greater pain sensitivity than wearing only one variant. When they analyzed genetic samples from 5,971 people from Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico and Peru, they found that these 3 variants were more common in Native American populations, such as those in Peru. The authors of the research suggest that these so-called Neanderthal variants may sensitize sensory neurons by changing the threshold at which a nerve impulse is generated. While acute pain can cause behavior change and prevent further injury, scientists say additional research is needed to determine whether carrying these variants and greater sensitivity to pain may have been beneficial during human evolution. Since the Neanderthal genome was first sequenced, we have learned more and more about what we inherited from them as a result of interbreeding tens of thousands of years ago. Pain sensitivity is an important survival feature that allows us to avoid painful events that could cause us serious harm. Our findings suggest that Neanderthals may have been more sensitive to certain types of pain. But more research is needed to understand why this is and whether these specific genetic variants were evolutionarily advantageous, said Dr. Kaustubh Adhikari of University College London. But from Neanderthals we have not only inherited greater sensitivity to pain. Genetic material from our extinct cousins may influence the shape of our noses.